What is up, you guys? Welcome to the Work for Change podcast. I'm doing the intro this time. My name is John.
My name is John, and I don't like this. This doesn't feel right.
I'm changing it up, man. You know, you always constantly varied. But today's episode was a lot of fun. We were able to talk to Jacob Heppner, who is a 3 times CrossFit Games athlete. His highest rank was 7th place in 2016, and then he had an injury in 2017, and then 2018 happened, which we talk a lot about in the podcast. But it was a really fun conversation. I think we laughed more.
Yeah, that was good. He's a funny guy, man.
He's a good dude, and we laughed a lot.
I think he overestimated our CrossFit abilities like multiple times.
Yeah, he thought we were better than we were, which it's fine with me.
That's the beauty of YouTube editing.
Yeah, exactly. You make ourselves look better. But we talked about a lot of stuff. It was a really interesting interview, and I kind of said this towards the end, but it was really cool having him on because, like we said I think it was the first podcast we had, one of the goals we had for the podcast was to have Games athletes on, right? Because we're both people that really enjoy CrossFit. We'll obviously never be at that level, but it is really cool that we have a platform where we can kind of trick people into coming in and talking to us.
Yeah, and it's like, you got to think like, okay, well, you guys are work for change. Like, these guys didn't have to overcome any crazy, and it's like they work harder than anyone.
Yeah.
Day in and day out, and like to rest on their score from the previous year, like that doesn't happen, and that like you have to constantly make sure that you are doing the best you can because there are over 300,000 other people who register for the Open who are trying to do better than you, and so it's like you have to constantly at the top of your game. And so that's why we think Games athletes, sure, they don't have this obesity or they don't have anorexia or they don't have cancer or they don't have, which we've had some crazy stories on, which has been awesome. But they have to work day in and day out to make sure that they are the best possible shape all the time.
And there's obviously adversity they overcome, which we talked about with Jacob. But yeah, it was a really cool interview. I really hope that you guys enjoy it. And this is episode 7 of the Work for Change podcast. Oh, but before we get into it, if you're listening on iTunes or anything, make sure you give us that rating. Like us on the YouTubes, anywhere. Give us a like. We appreciate it. We appreciate the 5 stars.
Yeah. If you guys could, just while you're driving, if you have a friend in the car, just put the podcast on. Normally it's awkward. You normally don't put podcasts on when you're driving with someone or if you're just
check out this new song. No. I have something better to show you.
Or if you're sitting in the library, just put it on your phone and then walk away. And then let's just spread the word.
Yeah, there we go. Awesome. That sounds like a great idea. Yeah, in libraries, that's how we're gonna get spread. That's our mission for 2019.
Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you guys enjoy episode 7 of the Work for Change podcast. Yeah. So to get started for this, I decided to Google Jacob Heppner, and we're gonna just do there was 8 Jacob Heppner blah, Jacob Heppner blah, and we're going to go through that, and I feel like that'll be a good way of kind of figuring out what the internet wants to know about you, and if anyone doesn't know who you are, they can kind of get an idea of who Jacob Heppner is, okay?
Well, hopefully you pick hopefully they're not all CrossFit. Hopefully you pick maybe 2 CrossFit, 2 stuff that are from judicial courts, maybe 2. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, one of them says Jacob Heppner murder.
Don't hire that guy.
that one's not me.
Okay, so oddly enough, the very first one, Jacob Heppner height.
Oh,
People
my
want
height.
to know your height.
Yeah, I am 5'7.5".
Oh, very cool.
Nice.
The half is really important.
Yeah, it is. 100%.
Because I'm 5'9.5", and I would feel like I'm cheating if I said I was 5'10", and I want to so bad, but I can't do it.
See, I prefer the opposite, man. I prefer to be short. If I could get shorter, I would. It's important.
Number 2, Jacob Heppner wife.
Wife,
Kelly, right?
Kelly, yeah. Wait, I'm confused. When you just Googled it and it just said Jacob Heppner,
So when you type a name into Google or anything,
the autofill.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this
I
is
see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. So this is this is the 8 top searches, if you will.
Yeah.
Jacob Heppner wife is top 8. Oh,
yeah.
Man. She's gonna be so excited tonight.
Yeah. So Kelly, and yes,
Yes, I do have.
Yes,
wife.
I have a wife.
I have.
Yes, I do.
I thought this one was interesting. Jacob Heppner wiki, like Wikipedia.
Do I have a Wikipedia page?
I don't know. I didn't look it up.
How are you gonna ask him a question and then
I don't know.
no follow up?
Well, Wikipedia can be edited. So if you look in like 2 hours, it'll say I'm 6 foot and I have lightning bolts that come out of my fingers. So I'll edit it to be legit.
Oh my gosh.
6 times games winner.
Yeah. Whatever you want, I'll make it happen.
Okay, Jacob Heppner football. You played football, right?
Yeah, I played football in high school, and then I played in college, and that was terrible. Terrible.
What
terrible
college did you go to?
I played at a small school called Central Methodist University. It's an NAIA school, so it's like between a D2 and a D3. It's in Missouri. It's the closest landmark it's like 20 minutes away from Mizzou, which is a big D1 school. So
Okay.
yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. What kind of like workouts did you do for football? Was it like, because I know anytime I see football workouts, I see like power cleans almost every single time.
Oh yeah. So I remember vividly, we did a lot of workouts and football workouts. We're talking about speed, strength, very quick, very short. But we never snatched, and we never like full cleaned. And I didn't know that. I didn't even know what a snatch was at the time. And then I had a internship in Kansas City over a summer, and I went to I got invited to go to a local college and like train or spend like a day training with the Olympic lifting coach, who's really widely known here in the Midwest. So I went and kind of learned from her and realized, like, why aren't we snatching? Like, why aren't we doing full cleans? Like, why are we always, why are we power cleaning with straps? Well, actually, clarification, why do we hang power cleaning with straps, that's like total football, And I went back and told my strength conditioning coach, I was like, hey, I think you're missing out. Like, I think you need to teach us how to snatch, teach us how to do this and that, because I think being able to snatch well is more explosive than being able to hang power clean. Yeah. And he was like, well, I'm not teaching that. I was like, why not? He's like, it's too complicated. And then I knew my college strength conditioning coaches sucked. I was like, that's your job. And you're like, I'm not teaching snatch.
Too much work.
Too much work.
2 of them were the CrossFit ones. One of them was Jacob Heppner Diet, which is Kelly makes you stuff, right?
Anything.
Yeah. Jacob Heppner Diet, yes.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I eat food.
I like on your Instagram, you'll post your food and you're just 50 grams of protein, 20 grams of fat, and then all of grams of carbs.
I get people so worked up because they're like, "Isn't that too many carbs?" And I'm like, "Nah, I don't think there's a such thing, but I haven't found it yet."
Yeah.
Especially not for someone that's doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the full day of eatings for Winston. Those ones are like really.
So I've been doing like, I'm getting tired. I guess I've been staring at a screen all day because I was just editing one right now. And I usually try to get Winston involved in everything. Like, oh, Winston ate a unicorn today, or Winston ate a cone, or today Winston ate his own poop. So I'm not really sure how macro that works. But.
A lot of protein.
I'm not sure if that like cancels it out, and now it's like a deficit because it's like
he's eating his own. I was like, I think a refeed. I'm so confused. What's going on?
Refeed. And then the last one was military. No.
Yeah, nope. I actually worked as a civilian for the Army. Gosh, my wife keeps calling me. I worked as a civilian for the Army for a while, and but I was not a military active duty, so I was a DoD civilian.
And then the last one, which I think is pretty fitting, is YouTube.
Yes.
Which
thanks a lot. I got pushed that way by a couple different people. They're like, you should do that, and I was like, I don't know what that is, and they were like, you should try your hand at it.
Yeah, I know. I was actually super curious, like, because this is a space that all 3 of us are in and very involved in, is the YouTube, the CrossFit community surrounding YouTube, just the people that you end up meeting and experiences and opportunities. What was that, like, process from you don't have a YouTube channel, maybe you uploaded, like, open videos or something on it, to, like...
I didn't even do that.
Didn't even do that, yeah. and then to creating like that 0. Like what was that process? What did that look like starting that?
Well, I mean, when I grew up with a really creative atmosphere in my family, so I was pushed to be creative, and I really enjoyed it, whether it was carving sticks to be a lightsaber or, playing with Legos. And I remember, like, vividly when I was younger, one of the things I got when I was a kid was, like, a Lego movie set. And, like, I had this little camera. It was the crappiest camera ever. But you take pictures, because obviously Lego men can't move, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so you take a picture, and then you move the guy, and then you take another picture and move the guy, and then you combine it and you make a video. And I remember, like, spending hours doing that when I was younger and thoroughly enjoying it. Well, when you get a little older, you kind of lose your sense of creativity. You go to high school, you're playing sports, or you're worried about girls, or whatever the case may be. And then, you end up going to college, and you're playing sports or doing your degree, and you get a job, and you kind of lose focus of that. And then I had a couple people reach out to me, and they were like, hey, you live a pretty open life. Like, you're not afraid to show people what's going on in your life. And you live a kind of a different life, and you do a lot of things. You should start a YouTube channel. And I was like, I was like, that sounds like a lot of work for nothing. I was like, ain't no one going to want to watch that. And finally, I kept getting pushed that way. And then actually Craig Ritchie, who's a good friend of you guys, did a segment on me about the Open. And so I watched him, and then I started watching his channel because I was like, he does CrossFit or did bodybuilding and then kind of moved his way into CrossFit. And then he kept telling me the same dang thing. And I was like, all right, you bunch of freaking turds are freaking ganging up on me. And so finally I was like, all right, I'm going to go buy the crappiest camera I can buy. And I'm not crappy, but I'm going to go buy a cheap camera that gets the job done, and I'm just going to try my hand at it. And kind of did it for like a couple weeks, couple months. My wife still makes fun of me. She's like, seems like a waste of time, like her actual point is she told me, she's like, I will support your YouTube channel and appreciate the fact that you do it when you get me a free first class ticket on a plane. And I was like, okay, that seems like a bit high and mighty. She's like, okay, you're here. I'll let you go all the way up here. And so anyways, kind of tried my hand at it, really started enjoying it. It's really cool to be able to show your life to people, right? And so I really realized quickly that there wasn't really anybody in my space or in the CrossFit community that was doing that. There's no one. You got Brooke Ince. That was pretty much it. There's one female doing it. And I was like, man, Noah had put open workouts up, but that was pretty much it. I mean, and that was actually all it was. And I was like, man, people probably want to know what is a CrossFit Games or a CrossFit has been, for 2 years, do with his life. Does he have a job? Like, he has a dog. What does he do? And so it really kind of blew up pretty quick and was pretty easy for me because it wasn't well done editing, believe me. But it was really easy to show, like, what my life's like. Like, I'm working out. Here's my dog. Here's my wife. I have a job. It's really cool to open up and show my life because most people just think, like, we're all different, all CrossFit Games athletes. And so we're all different. Some of us live, have a house. Some of us live in an apartment. Some of us have a job. Some of us don't. And so it's been cool to really show people and invite them into my life and be open and say, hey, this is what I am. This is what I do. This is what my life's like. And some people think, it's really easy to grab a camera and act like your life's amazing when you're staring at it. But the fact of the matter is most people that come hang out with me at the barn or at the gym or wherever say, oh, you're kind of the same on camera as you are in person. And so, I live a whole lie. I'm actually an introvert, and I'd prefer to stay in my closet and not talk to people. I'm just kidding.
No, as all YouTubers. No. So I do want to say, like, you're very natural on camera. And so, like, keep, in front of the camera, holding the camera, filming friends. Like, I know firsthand it can be terribly awkward, but you're really natural at it. So just want to say that.
I appreciate that, but I still haven't gotten over doing it in public yet.
Oh my gosh.
I can't do that.
I can't imagine that ever becoming very like a normal thing unless you're somebody that craves attention so much that like you don't
want
it
everyone to see you. Because
for me, if I'm in public, I don't want a bunch of people looking at me that I don't need to be looking at me.
Yeah.
But I did want to say, I think like you kind of hit on it, but what is so cool and interesting, and I think what a lot of people are so excited about, like with you, like vlogging and filming, is with CrossFit, the only real media we got was like what CrossFit would put out, or like what would be like really edited content that was like beautiful, but it wasn't like, you never actually saw the day-to-day what people were doing and what they were like, because it was always like over a 3-week period they would film them, they'd film the workouts and whatever. Like with you filming, it's cool seeing a very high level athlete, someone that's, you know, very, very talented, and seeing, you know, what their recovery looks like. What they like, you've done full day of eatings, which are fun to watch.
Yeah.
You joke around a lot, but you still do show exactly what you eat. And then you show exactly the workouts that you do. And so many games athletes, and obviously I'm nowhere near that level, so I can't really speak on it, but it seems like they show a little bit, but then there's always stuff that they're not showing or like hiding. And I'm sure that they have their reasons, but for you, it's like you just show everything, you know, and I think that's really cool. And it's like interesting, you know, to people that are, like, that's what's so cool about CrossFit is the people that are interested in the sport kind of partake in the sport as well.
Sure.
And so it's just really fun to see.
Yeah, I think I actually spoke on that just recently on a video I put out. Is a lot of games athletes for some reason think that that people tend to think there's like some like magic bullet for being good at the games. But like the fact of the matter is, if I gave you Matt Fraser's programming and you did Matt Fraser's programming for every day for a year or 2 years or 3 years, you wouldn't be Matt Fraser. Like Matt Fraser is the way Matt Fraser is because, first of all, genetics. Second of all, the work he puts in. Third of all, everything that makes him him. And if I gave you Jacob Heppner's program, it doesn't make you Jacob Heppner. It makes you maybe a little bit better, in different areas, but doesn't make you me. And so that's what always confuses me is, as I'm seeing in the sport as we kind of progress, is the fact that there are huge gaps. And I think us losing CrossFit media has actually been a really benefit in disguise, because then you see with the lack, at one time you had somebody who had a huge monopoly on everything. And now that you don't have that, there's people filling voids. You've got Arm & Hammer. You've got Justin LaFranco. You've got you guys doing this podcast now. You've got games athletes actually stepping up now, and Cole's doing one, Fikowski's doing one. Noah decided to step up and start, other than just open workouts. You still have Brooke Ince doing it, and so it's really been cool to see that void being filled by people. And then on top of that, the concept of training is there's also that void. There are also a CrossFit Games athlete don't want to let you in their lives or see what they're doing, which doesn't make any sense to me, because it's like, who cares if they know what you're doing? I don't care if you know my times on a workout. Go out and beat me. That would make me. I mean, I'm not like, hey, I want you to beat me, but at the same time, I want you to know I'm human. So
yeah, I really like that. There's a lot more people doing it. When I started CrossFit, like I've only been doing it for like 2.5 years, and I want to know when you started and stuff like that. But
sure.
When we first started, I literally looked up CrossFit vlogger, and it was Craig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's it.
He was bodybuilding.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And he would just use the CrossFit tag, to like get more views or whatever, like get that community. So within, me having a vlog, my brother having a vlog, you having a vlog, plus everyone else having a vlog, like all the other people having vlogs, it's just cool because there's billions of people on YouTube. It's not like if you start one, you've taken away from one of mine.
Exactly.
Like it's like the community is building and growing, and so I love it. But enough on YouTube. How did you get started with CrossFit? What year? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, so I was playing college football. I had finished up my junior year of college, and I was going in my summer of my senior year. I had an internship actually up the road from here at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, for the Army as a DoD civilian, working as I have a bachelor's in mathematics, and so I went there to go work. I was doing football workouts, we're doing sprints in the field, heavy lifting, that kind of stuff. And hang power cleans and straps, that kind of cool stuff. And so this guy I worked with, his name was Major Craig. I remember him vividly. He was an active duty guy. And as we all know, CrossFit is really big in LEO, law enforcement officers and public servants, and also the military. And so he goes, hey, Jake, what do you, I know you like, I would leave on like lunch breaks and go work out. And he knew that. And so he knew I was active. And he goes, hey, you should come work out with me in the morning. And I'm like, I don't like working out with people. Like, I have my own set stuff to do. And he's like, no, it's a class. And that even more turned me off, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, it's a CrossFit class. And I'm like, never heard of the word CrossFit. I'm like, who thought of this stupid name? And this guy's like, you should show up tomorrow morning. And luckily, I agreed to him. I was like, all right, like, he's a nice dude. I was like, all right, like, I'll come. And then I was like, what time? He goes, 5:30. If it had been the opposite, if I had heard time and then agreed, I'd be like, nope, nope. So I was like, all right, dude, like, I'll be there at dark 30, the witching hour. And so I showed up, and, like, everyone's prototypical story is they always do Fran first. So which makes me think, like, are there gyms out there that literally are like, oh, it's John's first day at CrossFit? We're doing Fran, guys! Yes. And they're like, dude, the other guy was first day yesterday. We did Fran yesterday, too.
That's what we got to do.
Just doing Fran 365 days a year.
Greg said we have to do it.
Yeah, if there's a new guy or new girl, we're always doing Fran. So luckily, that wasn't my story because I never understood that. We did toes to bar and rowing. I vividly remember those two movements. There was probably some other stuff in there, but don't recall what it was. Never been on a rower before. Never touched my toes to the bar. Never thought to myself, oh, hey, I'm going to hang from that bar and touch my toes to it.
This seems like a thing that is
cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And so I remember, like, I couldn't do a toes to bar. Like, I couldn't even get close, right? And, the kipping movement was, like, not even in my brain. And then I remember being on the rower, not knowing how to work it, and these guys are yelling at me, row faster! Like the whole, like, it's a movie, Troy, and they're like, row, you maggots, green, like, that's all I recall is them just screaming at me. Finally, I got done, like, was so confused, like, what was going on. And this guy goes, like, I don't know why he said this to me. He's like, hey, you were pretty good. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't even know how you define good and, like, what I'm trying to be good at. And he's like, you actually move pretty well. He's like, you should look up CrossFit Games. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying to me, like, speaking to their language. He wrote it down. He's like, look it up. Here's the website. Like, just give it 10 minutes. So I went up, looked it up, and then realized, man, you can compete in this crap. And this isn't just like podunk, like go compete in the back of a dumpster drive somewhere. Like this is like somewhere in Carson. Like this is somewhat, at the time, it was big. It's gotten bigger, of course. Yeah. And so I looked it up, and I realized, man, I kept going back after a couple weeks, and I was like, man, this is actually pretty cool. And then I thought to myself, like, this is what I'm going to do after football. So I vividly remember going into, like, my senior year of football. And I gave it my all my senior year of football. But believe me, I was terrible. And I remember thinking to myself, like, football's great, but as soon as I'm done, I'm doing CrossFit, and it's going to be legit. And I would do practice, and I would come back out in the field those nights and practice handstand walking or practice something else. Or, hell, practice snatches for Pete's sake. And so I was actually late to my senior banquet of football because I was actually competing for the first time in a competition. Wow. Yeah, so that my coach was like, why the heck are you late? And I was like, dude, I hate to break it to you, but I found something so much better than football. Yeah. So, but that was terrible. I vividly remember just, like, smashing caffeine and thinking it would, like, make me better, and ibuprofen. I don't know why, but yes. I was terrible, man. I couldn't kettlebell swing. But yeah, that's pretty much how I started, pretty much.
And that was, like,
2012 or 13, somewhere around there, like into 12, beginning of 13, I think.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm curious. So how long until, like, from after you decided, okay, I'm gonna do CrossFit full time after football to where you actually, like, maybe thought that you were gonna make it to regionals and then made it to the games? Like, was there a big chunk of time in between those, or?
Yeah, so I remember at that time when I went back to college, my senior year, during football season, at that time, one of my best friends, who is now my wife, was overseas studying abroad at London. She was studying for fashion merchandising in London. And we wrote letters back and forth to each other. Like, instead of emails, we wrote letters. Yeah, we have them all saved up. Yeah. And my thought process is, if you guys aren't married, if you want to find a wife, you write her a letter. That's how you do it. That's
well, see, the issue is that my handwriting is so bad, so the girl would be like, oh, a fifth grader wrote me a letter.
So that's fine. My handwriting is just the same. The first letter I wrote her, I actually wrote a letter and then wrote a legend to go with it. And said, like I remember vividly saying, look, the letter I is a waste of handwriting. I don't even put the letter I in my words. I just skip over it. Like, it's a stupid letter. Like, just skip it. You'll get the point. And so
just draw pictures.
Me, you, holding hands when you come back.
So I remember writing her a letter my senior year and saying, look, I found this thing called CrossFit. I am going to go to the games, and I'm going to be legit at this. At the time, I didn't even know regionals existed. I was just like, I'm going to the games. It's going to happen. You just watch. And she was like, okay, this CrossFit thing sounds really stupid, but that sounds great. I don't know who you are. But anyways, so yeah, from the get-go, I was going to go to the games. But that was my goal from, like, day one.
And then so did you go, like, was it just 1 year and then you were at the games or?
So I went 2013. I went to regionals. It was my first year at regionals. I was 18th at regionals, which at the time was back before super regionals. So we had the North Central had our own region, and we sent 3 guys to the games.
Oh, wow.
And 3 girls. 2014, I placed second at regionals along with Kyle Kasperbauer, myself, and then Alex Nettie. And then I went to the games and placed 18th at the games. So within a year, I placed 18th at regionals to 18th at the games. And I just remember,
Nice. Wow.
I remember attacking straight weaknesses. But the best part was when I qualified to my first year at the games at regionals, I went and found the guy who placed 18th that year. His name is Roderick Holloway. And I told him, I said, look, dude, I was like, you don't know me and you might not know my background, but you placed 18th at regionals this year. He goes, yeah. I go, he knew I placed second, of course. I said, I placed 18th last year. I said, so don't put it in your head that you can't make it. Like, just because you placed 18th doesn't mean there's 17 better dudes that you're never going to be able to surpass. You can outwork 15 of them like that if you know what you're doing. And so, anyways, went to the games that year and placed 18th at the games. I think my goal was top 20, and that was kind of the beginning of the story, pretty much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then, what year was the year? Because this was about the time that I started getting into CrossFit. What year was when CrossFit HQ came and like filmed you for like the Road to the Games?
Oh yeah, the Road to the Games. I was here in Kansas. That would have been, I think, going into I think that was winter of 2015. So that would have been going into the 2016 season. So which should have been my final season. I made it back to the games.
Okay. So that was when I first heard of you, was through the Road to the Games. But that's, again, because I was literally obsessing. Mm-hmm. I just got into CrossFit, just found out about it, and was watching everything, literally everything.
I was consuming it all.
Yeah,
he really was.
I didn't even know who most of the people were. I'm just like, okay, I'll watch it. And then I would watch it and then keep on going.
This guy's a tool bag. Whatever, I'll watch it.
But you posted around that same time because I'm like, I'm going to follow this guy. And then you posted something about taking Bibles, going on a hike, using your fitness to share the gospel and stuff like that. And I remember just thinking that's so smart. It's not just fitness for fitness sake. There are legitimate things that people who are out of shape cannot do to spread and share and spread the gospel and stuff like that. And the fact that you were using fitness to do that and promoting that, I just thought was this is awesome. I love it.
So there's actually a company, an organization, Youth with a Mission, which is YWAM, and they are located out of Kona, Hawaii is their headquarters. They have a couple different places all over the world, but Kona is their main headquarters. And
I did a summer with YWAM.
You did DTS with YWAM?
Not DTS, just summer staff.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm preaching to the choir, but let me just say it anyways for people listening.
Yeah.
So what they're doing now and what they're realizing is you and I can't go to name a random country China.
Pakistan. Okay.
Pakistan. Yeah, wherever. We can't just roll into Pakistan. I don't even know if that's what you said. And say, hey,
Genovia.
My name's Jacob. I'm going to teach English. I want to come to Pakistan. I want to preach the gospel. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, sounds great, Jacob. Come on in.
Yeah.
Come on in. And so usually what happens is you have an ulterior motive or a reason to be there, whether you're teaching math or English or, sometimes healthcare, health. But what they're discovering is CrossFit's exploded, of course, in Western civilizations, and now we're exploding overseas, in Europe and in South America and now, Indonesia. And so there are reasons that people are opening these gyms up, which is amazing. They need to be opened up. But then they're realizing they can't do it. They can't coach. Financially, they struggle with the books or whatever, and they need someone to come in and help them and guide them, whether it's coaching people on how to actually snatch and not hang power clean with straps, or how to actually run the books, right? And so what YWAM's doing is realizing that they can get overseas and get into other countries like Pakistan or wherever, with the ulterior motive of going there to preach the gospel, but at the same time help run CrossFit gyms. And so what YWAM's done is created this inside a subset of itself called Respect the Corners. Sorry. And what they're doing is they're raising up men and women who have a passion for fitness in such a way that they want to go overseas to preach the gospel, and they're using fitness to go and do it. So they're going over there and getting pulled into gyms in Saudi Arabia, and such places like that. Not saying, hey, I'm here to coach, but I'm also here to preach the gospel, but essentially just saying, hey, I'm here to coach. And then they love on people. Because you and I both know that sometimes in life, the people that have made the biggest impact on our lives are the people that have coached us. Mm-hmm. And whatever it is. It could be like chess. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be a sport. It could be piano. But the people that have made the biggest impact on our life are the people who coach us, because we are very open to them. Like, hey, if John's going to be my coach, I'm very open to John. I respect him. He gives me his opinion, and then I take what he says and I apply it to my life and whatever it is. And so they're finding that going over there and coaching in a gym, you don't need to walk into the gym and grab a Bible, stand up on a 30-inch box and start thumping,
throw it at
right?
people.
Yeah, right? A 30-inch box.
Take this.
That would be RX, of course. But you just need to walk into a gym and love on people. Hey, John, how's it going today? Like, how was your day? I remember your dog got sick, or your wife got sick. Just love on people. And then sooner or later, that person will say, man, why does that coach, why is he so nice? Why does he love me so much? And then that goes the next step, and then the next step. And then pretty soon, you've essentially, you're showing them the gospel. You're unconsciously, like, showing them love in such a way that they say, why does he love me so much? And then, that goes to the next thing. And so that's what they started doing. And so that's the long answer to your question. But yes, there are ways to use your fitness outside the gym, and one of which ways is sharing the gospel.
I think it's so important, just because so many people think that the fitness people are some of the most vain, right?
Of course.
Because it's like, all you care about is your body. All you care about,
Sure.
And it's like, when you can use something that everyone considers vain and superficial, and you can be like, yeah, but I'm able to make a difference because of it. Like, I think it's huge. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and I think 100% that was one of the things that got me, like, interested in the first place, like, just with CrossFit, because, like, our faith is important to us, and it was always kind of a weird thing, because, like, for me it was strange, because I came from, morbidly obese to losing weight, so it really was, like, for my health, but then I ended up competing in bodybuilding, and it did feel like it was just about your looks, right? And so I remember, like, the way I found CrossFit was he was doing it first. He was doing it for about a month and, like, fell in love with it. And he had been, like,
watching all the YouTube videos.
Yeah, watching all the YouTube videos. But so he, like, fell in love with it. And I remember he was, like, kind of into the bodybuilding stuff. Like, I tried to get him into it, and he would go to the gym, but there was no, like, real passion there. Would you agree?
Not at all.
Yeah. So, and then he actually went to my bodybuilding show, met his current girlfriend there. She did CrossFit. And she kind of
invited me. Well, I kind of was like, "You do CrossFit? I would like to come with you. You want me to go with you? Can I go to your class? So you want to, like, hang out?"
He bothered her for a while. So then I just saw the passion that he had for it, right? And I was like, "Oh, it seems kind of interesting." But I was like the typical bodybuilding guy that was like, "Oh, CrossFit's bad for you. It's whatever, right?" But then he actually had me watch. It was the documentary that was out around that time. It was one of the CrossFit Games ones. But then he had me watch Froning, and he's obviously a man of faith too, and it just, like, connected with me. And then I went to my first workout, but then he actually showed me you, which is funny because you were on the road to the games, and he was like, yeah, he's another Christian guy, and, like, just how, like, I just remember you were just, like, you were being yourself, just, like, ridiculous and silly and funny. And I just remember thinking, like, this is cool. Like, you can work on your fitness, and it's not this, like, only vain thing, it's like it can be so much more. And that's, like, a big reason I think that, like, CrossFit was attractive to me, at least in the beginning, was the fact that it's not just, like, this superficial, oh, how do I look, and that's it. That's, like, literally all that matters. There's so much more that matters to it. And then I think I've noticed with doing it is, like, the people that do excel at CrossFit have a certain mentality. You know, they have a certain they work hard. You know, people that do CrossFit work really hard if they want to get better. And for me, that's something that's attractive to me because obviously I feel that same way. So yeah, I think it's really cool.
So speaking about like fitness, faith, a big thing is like integrity. And I know a big part of the Jacob Heppner story is 18.4.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You knew it was coming.
John,
you like my little
slide?
slide?
It was like, is there anything that's not open limits? I was gonna be like, you're just asking about one thing, but whatever.
You know, I try. You know, I tried. I wanted to be.
I mean, everyone like we all like maybe not everyone knows.
Yeah.
What's the real quick like summary of 18.4 and what happened there, and then we can kind of go more into that.
Yeah. So real quickly, a standard was created for 18.4. That was new. Every 2 to 3 years, they create a new standard. You know, not really sure why, but they create a new standard because I think they're learning and growing. And they created a new standard that personally don't think was very well thought out. And so the first time I did the workout, you know, like, so I would backtrack. I would consider myself one of the best athletes in our field when it comes to handstand walking or handstand push-ups. If it's in a workout and it's not paired with like 280-pound snatches, I'm gonna be pretty good, right? Like,
yeah, that's my same issue too, definitely.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And so I consider myself pretty good at it. So what happens is I grab a judge from my gym and I said, hey, this is the workout. Can you judge me? Here's the workout. Here's the standard, yada, yada, yada. Well, when that person knows, okay, I'm judging Jacob. Jacob's really good at handstand push-ups. Sometimes they kind of fudge the line because they think, well, he should be really good at this. I'm not really sure why he's not hitting that, but he's pretty close. Like, I'll give it to him. And so, and there's no fault in the judges. Believe me, there's no fault in the judges at all. So I did the workout. I think I got like 7 minutes and 30. I don't remember, some 7:30 or whatever. It was a decent score. It was a good score. It would have got me in the regionals. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And so did the workout, got that score. Went back and watched the film and realized, man, I'm not even like, there's 45 handstand push-ups in that workout. I think I got probably 6 or 7 good reps out of 45. Wow. Like, some of them were like, that's not a rep, but that's pretty close. And some of them were like, what are you doing? That's not even like slightly close. And so I decided, okay, well, there's no way I can turn this in. Like, I need to go figure something out. And so I went and changed up my essentially my positioning on the floor. I brought my hands as close as I could, and it was still a struggle to even meet the standard, even close. And so I think when I finished it, Diane, the first part of the workout, Diane took me. I think it was an 8 or 9 minute workout. I think Diane took me like 7 or 8 minutes. Like, it was
wow.
It was a bit long.
Yeah.
And so finished it. Obviously. Talked to HQ a little bit about it, concerning it, and voiced my concerns. And really what it come down to is how the open works is when you turn in your score, you don't turn in a video with it. But you need to save that video for later for review if they ask for it. And in the past, I've always asked for one workout video to review. And so I had all my workout videos saved, like on a hard drive on my computer. And I thought to myself, okay, I could do a couple different things here. I could just keep my previous score, my 730, and keep that score and save the video. And if they don't ask for it, no one will ever find out. Like, they'll be like, oh, you got a 730. Like, like the majority of everyone's workouts, you don't actually see the video, nor do you know. And I'll be fine. I'll make it to regionals. I'll make it to the games. No big deal. They said, but there's a 20% chance they ask for that video. And if they ask for that video, what happens is you put it on YouTube, usually unlisted, right? Mm-hmm. For those of us who are new to YouTube, unlisted means you need a link to see it, not private. And which I learned a couple months ago. Anyway, so you put it unlisted, and then HQ does not, contrary to popular belief, HQ does not watch the videos. They have, if you're trying to be a regional judge or a games judge, the first thing you have to do is review videos. And I think they have like 20 to 40 people review each video, and then they take the average score of thumbs up and thumbs down essentially to like say, oh, it's good or it's not good, it needs modification. And so it's not like Dave Castro watching your videos, and so, or anybody at HQ, because they don't have time for that, understandably so. And so what would happen is if I turn that video in and other people watch it and get a hold of it, they're going to say, wow, Heppner's not even close to his score. He's cheating, and this is ridiculous. And look at more of his videos, which would have been fine. Look at other videos, but what I didn't want to happen was to be like, I didn't want to come across that Jacob's a cheater, and I get labeled that way, because I was like, I would rather be known as a good man than a great athlete. And so I decided, I made the conscious decision that I'm not going to turn this video in, not because I'm going to die on a hill and because I want to be a martyr, but because I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm not going to turn in a score that I'm going to get caught later. So anyways, turn my crappy score. I bet you guys actually beat me at that workout pretty solidly. You guys should have done the research on what my score was, because I think I got 14 or 15 deadlifts at 315 in the first round of 21.
I promise you, I didn't beat you.
John had such a struggle. So I was filming him, right, the first time he did.
I put the first time I did it on Instagram Live.
Oh, my God.
And I was not ready for that handstand push-up standard. I did like 72 handstand push-ups in the round of 21.
And he turned off that Instagram Live so quick.
So no, I didn't. I promise you, I did not beat you on that one.
That makes me laugh so hard. It was a rough one for Sean as well.
So we were in the same boat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
that's what took me out of regionals too.
Yeah, it was that darn workout.
Oh man, it screwed a lot of us.
Yeah.
So I kind of forgot about it. I still did 18.5 because it was important to finish it out. You don't just quit because you quit because you can't make it. The goal isn't always make it regionals. The goal is to show how fit you are. And so I still did 18.5, turned in my score. Obviously, I didn't qualify. I think I was like 1,000th in the region. And then come to find out a couple weeks later, CrossFit Games actually asked for 18.4, and people turned in their 18.4 scores. And so it was actually a blessing in disguise, because had I given my score, like people would have watched it and been like, what the crud is this guy doing? Is he even doing the same workout?
Yeah.
And so that's mainly, that's briefly pretty much it. So
afterwards, you started using a hashtag capacity.
We're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
We're gonna skip that.
Yeah. So no blowback on that.
Yeah.
So
I think that, like you said, like you would rather be known as a good man than a great athlete. Like that's exactly like how I felt when I saw that you just kind of took ownership, you know what I mean, of this is what happened. There's no, like, you couldn't, it's not like you could sit there and complain about it and it's going to change anything, right? Like, so you just kind of said, this is it. You even put your score in. Like, some people might have put like a 0 and been like, no, I don't even want to, but like you put your score in and that was it. Like, there was nothing you could do about it. But I think the knee-jerk reaction for so many people, especially like someone in your position that's been to the games multiple times, like in your head, I would only assume like you're a games athlete, right? So like the goal isn't to make it to regionals, the goal is to make it to the games, and to come like so short, but because of basically a decision you made, right? Like I'm gonna put the real score in instead of trying to maybe skirt around it. I think that speaks a lot to your integrity, right? And like to the man that you obviously are, and it's not just words that you're saying, it's like how you really feel. And I just remember when I saw that, I was blown away, because I remember the whole CrossFit community around that workout. It was crazy. Everyone was freaking out. Nobody liked the standard, nobody did. And so I remember like thinking it would have been so easy for you to jump on that mob mentality and join everyone and be like, yeah, I was a victim as well of this standard. But it's like, well, it doesn't matter. Like there's nothing that you could do about it. And I just remember thinking like that was really cool, and like it was like super, super interesting, and yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad you thought it was cool. It was a rough couple days in the Heppner house. It was a lot of
sure.
I was playing video games in my dark basement. My underwear never came out of the basement. Where's Jacob? He's downstairs. Don't talk to him. He's mad.
Or you're just like in the basement. He's like, he's been doing handstand push-ups for 4 days.
4 days. He's never leaving.
Okay, so regionals are done. And they RIP regionals, but you have a new plan for this season
to do every qualifier,
to do every single qualifier,
and make everyone mad.
Oh man, I love social media has its ups and downs. Believe me,
Yes.
there are some benefits and obviously some downsides to it. But I love ruffling feathers. They just get. I mean, it's not like I'm going out and ruffling feathers in a bad way. Like putting a piece of dog poop in a brown bag and putting it on someone's doorstep, burning it, and running and filming it. Like it's not like I'm hurting anybody.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just fun. Like it's a free world. Like if I want to do all the qualifiers, I can. If I want to qualify every single one and not show up, I can.
Yes.
Why not?
Yeah, and I love that you literally broke the Wadapalooza qualifier.
Go ahead.
No. I just was so. Do you see yourself? Because I know the goal is to compare yourself to everyone else in the world who's doing those qualifiers, correct?
Sure.
So then you can kind of be like, oh, I suck at this movement, or oh, I'm crushing it in this movement. Like, have you had any like surprises through these qualifiers? How many have you done now? Like, how many?
Okay. I actually did not sign up for Wadapalooza. It's the only one I haven't actually signed up for because I was actually overseas in Spain. I was overseas in Spain. Oh, shoot. I lost you guys. There you guys. I'm back. I was overseas in Spain for a little bit, and so I had to choose Dubai and Wadapalooza to sign up. At that time, I didn't have the mentality of, I'm going to do them all. So, but Dubai, I placed third in it. Wadapalooza I didn't do, but I would have placed well. And then we did Fittest in Cape Town, which I'm not sure if I placed fourth or fifth. And then Australian CrossFit Championship, I won.
Nice.
And then I just won the Strength and Depth qualifier.
Yeah.
And then the Brazilian qualifier will be starting in January. So
yeah.
Let's just see how many I qualify out of.
That is unbelievable.
I'm not going to lie. I'm super inspired by your desire to do that. And I kind of am like, I might do that
no,
too.
you don't do that. Don't do that, Sean. Sean gets injured too much.
I don't know why.
I wonder, yeah.
With the decisions I make.
Yeah, that is not a good idea.
But
all.
What have you learned? Like, are you pretty self-aware when it comes to your needs and what you need to work on? And so these are just confirming what you already kind of know about your training.
So any athlete who's at the top end of the sport should already know that and know how to work on it, right? Like if I didn't know what I was good at, nor did I work on it, I would not have ever made it back to the games. Because in 2013, why 2013? No, in 2014, I struggled at rope climbs. And then I came back the next year and won a rope climb workout because you spend the whole year working on something you're not good at.
Yeah.
And so any top level athlete should be able to say, hey, I'm not good at ... and this is how I'm going to work on it ... and then get it done throughout the whole year. And so we've been really working on a lot of strength. And so I actually won the Australian strength event, which is a 3-rep max from the floor for overhead squat. Nice. And then I think I got third in the strength and depth, which is just a 1-rep max clean, which is impressive because had we done that a year ago, I probably would have gotten like last. Now, granted, not everyone's doing these qualifiers. Like a lot of guys are getting invited straight to qualifiers, which is another thing we can get into and we can bash. But so it's not heavily attended for qualifiers. There are games athletes that do them, but like big ones like Lucas Holberg is going to strength and depth. But Lucas Holberg isn't going to do the strength and depth qualifiers. Mm-hmm. He might do them, but he's not going to like sign up for them. So.
Yeah.
I wanted to because we kind of skipped over the fact of like why these qualifiers are even there. So like regionals they announced out of nowhere. It seemed like they're gone, right? They're no longer.
Yeah, we don't know why their qualifiers are there. Pretty much, we don't know what CrossFit's thinking. Yeah. There's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, because obviously like we were like, oh, regionals is gone, but for us it was just something that we enjoyed watching. Like my chances are dashed. But as somebody like that has actually competed in regionals, and you were very obviously familiar with the format and how it worked out. You go to the Open, you do well in the Open, you go to regionals, you get top 5, you go to the games. And it was very easy to follow, too, as a spectator. And now that they've gotten rid of that, like, I'm just curious as to what your kind of, like, mindset was when you first heard about it, and, like, what maybe, like, has it changed at all over, the past couple months now that we kind of understand a little bit more about the whole change?
Yeah, so I think, like I've talked about before, I think as human nature, we don't like change, right? So human nature is I like my little cubby hole, I like my little hermit hole, I like how everything's the same. I can predict what's going to happen in a month from now. But we don't like change. This is change. I think this year is going to be kind of a rough year because of the change. And then I think in the years following, things will be fixed. Like, oh, that didn't work out too well. Let's change that. Or that worked out great. Let's keep doing that. Maybe do some more of that. And so I think it's going to be a learning year for a lot of people for the 2018 season. But I think overall it'll get better. I just think this year is a little bit rough. That's what happens when you give a lot of sanctioned events a lot of power to do their own thing. Like, I think what I've spoken about, what I don't necessarily agree with is the fact that sanctioned events can just invite whoever they want. I think the beauty of CrossFit, and you guys can attest to this, is the fact that we all start the same way. Yeah. We both might like the NFL, but none of us go to the combine and do the combine in the NFL, right? Like,
I tried. They didn't let me on the field.
But we all love CrossFit, and we all do the open, just like Matt Frazier, just like Annie Thorsdottir, just like Carl Webb. And so the beauty of it is we all start from square one at the beginning of the season no matter what. Now, and that might change in 2020 because the open will be in October. But this year, they're just inviting athletes. And I think, hey, if you're a games athlete and you went to the games, it's time to buck up and get some qualifiers done and actually prove that you deserve to be there. Now, granted, Matt Frazier deserves to go to Dubai. Matt Frazier won it. I mean, he's the fittest in the world. So, yes, that's fine. But, like, I think invites should just be like, look, you did the qualifier, you can go. Now, I'm not saying that because I didn't go to the games. If you ask me next October, next February, or next September, hey, Jacob, how do you feel about that? You said that a year ago. I'd still say the same thing regardless if I made the 2019 games, yes or no, regardless. I would still have the same output of that. We preach community in CrossFit. Community is started from square one. Community should be withheld or upheld, essentially. So
yeah, I think that I totally agree. I think that and especially with there's 19 announced right now or 22 or something like that. Like, if each one has 3 spots of invites. And it's like, so that's like 20 times 3, 60 people who are just like, oh, yeah, I didn't qualify. Or, oh, I didn't need to do the qualifier. I got invited to this one and this one and this one and this one. For sure, like, it does take away I did the same competition as X, Y, Z, person. So, yeah, I totally agree with that mindset and that idea with it. We're kind of wrapping up now. But what... I don't know if you have a name, how much you're talking about it, or anything, but you're going to be launching like your programming, right?
Yeah. So we've kind of got a name working on right now, and so we're trying to flesh that out. I
saw the YouTube video where you allowed everyone to
Winston's winners,
Winston's Warriors.
There you go.
Winston's Warriors. Man, that's the one thing about social media. I love polling people, like getting ideas, because people will always. I mean, there's a lot of good ideas. Like, I'm not the most creative person in the world. I love getting ideas from other people, but some of them were just great, like nerd programming, Jedi programming. I was like, okay, yeah, let's call it nerd programming.
Yeah, it's almost like someone's like, crap, I don't know, nerd. Like, I gotta reply.
But yeah, so we have a name we're working on right now. We're looking on launching this month, essentially. And what it's going to look like is the guy who I train with full-time and I have for years, and he's been to regionals, I think, more times than me, is Andrew Kiekler. He's been training with me for like 2-3 years now. And so he's our head coach at Cobra Command CrossFit, really intelligent. And so I finally switched over from my previous programming. I was like, hey, dude, let's give this a shot and let's have you program just for me, just for a couple weeks to see how it goes. And it worked out really well, and I started seeing a lot of improvement in some of the weirdest, like weird stuff, like, hey, Jake, let's sit on the wall and do some wall sits and then do some kettlebell front squats. And I was like, that sounds stupid.
Yeah.
At the end of it, I'm like, that was really stupid and hard, like, I don't want to do that again. And then we just kept doing it, like, it's iterations on iterations of, okay, you did a minute hold last week. This week we're doing a minute 15, and you're going to up the kettlebell weight. There's been a lot of different things we've been doing that have really worked really well. And so yeah, I pulled Andrew aside. I was like, look, dude, like, you're intelligent beyond belief in this sport. I've got a good presence on social media, and people tend to follow me for workouts. I was like, let's combine up. Let's like, you're already doing programming, and he's letting me every now and again throw on a Metcon that I design. Most of the time, it's just him designing them, which are still awful. And so he was like, he liked the idea, and so we decided, okay, let's just kick it off. So I've actually got a company work on my website right now, and once that's done this month, we'll be releasing programming. How it's going to kind of look is like we had talked about and earlier in the interview, is the fact that most games athletes are scared to show their programming. Like, it's a secret. Like, don't look behind this. You don't want to know what I'm doing. And I've never been the one to care. Like, when you have a YouTube channel, you have to be open about your scores. Like, and that's a positive and a negative, right? Like, you put out, and same thing as John. Like, when John puts up how he's progressing and losing weight, I'm sure there's people who are like, you look fat. Like, I'm sure there's people who are super negative, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. When I put up a workout, people are going to be like, if I do 300 double unders for time, someone will count it and be like, you missed the 173rd double under. Like, how much time do you have on your hands? Like, first of all, I appreciate it because of watch time, so thank you very much. But number two, wow, you need a life, you know? Like, but being open on the YouTube channels really opened my eyes to people appreciate honesty and opening up your life and vulnerability. And so I've decided, you know what? If we're going to do programming, we're not just going to do like, Andrew, think of some programming real fast. We'll throw it out there and, have them enjoy it and make them pay me for it. I was like, no, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you my exact programming day in and day out. Like, it's not going to be like I mentioned in the previous video, it's not going to be like, oh, let's give them my programming and I'm going to do something on the side, winkety wink. Like, I'm not going to show them. Like, no, we're going to do 2 separate tracks. One's going to be like, I only have, some people don't have 5 hours a day to do it. So like if I have a 90-minute ability, cool. This is half my programming that you can do. If you've got an ability to do 2 sessions a day or somewhat, okay, let's do the full thing. And so we're going to do 2 separate things, but it's going to be my exact programming, like everything. And then so we decided on top of that, we'll include my scores. Like, I've never been ashamed to show you, hey, today I had a really bad day snatching. Like, I hit 225. Wow, that's really crappy, Jacob. I'm like,
terrible.
Like 185 max here.
Dude, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like the ability and the openness to say, this is what I done on a workout. Go get my score. I don't care if you beat me. That kudos to you because you're going to be better at me at something. So it gives people the incentive to be like, this is what Jacob's doing. He's not hiding anything. He's showing me my exact reps he's hitting. So I might be stronger than Jacob, or I might be better at Metcon. And that's positive for people because people can say, well, I can beat it at something. Like, it's not like he's superhuman and untouchable. Like, we're all touchable. That really came out weird. But
I agree. Yeah. No, but I think the fact, just like talking about the program and the fact that you're going to have the, like, basically like half programming, because what I found with a lot of people, and myself included, is I genuinely enjoy doing the class workouts with my gym, and like having that camaraderie. So the fact that you're going to have like half program where I could come in and do a little bit of the stuff, do half of the program and still not be dead and actually be able to do the class. I think that can be beneficial because then you're able to still stay in the community of your gym, but still work on weaknesses or whatever it might be. I think that's really smart, and I can see that working well.
Yeah, we decided, and the other problem is if you give people too much to chew, if you're like, here's everything, they'll essentially cherry pick. And that's not the goal, right? The goal is you want to create an adaptation to what we're giving you and to have your body adapt. So if I give you everything and you're like, well, I only have an hour, so I'm going to pick this one because I'll be good at it and this one because I'll be good at it, then you won't adapt. But if I give you and say, okay, if you only have an hour, just do this, then your body may be able to adapt. I actually had someone ask me, it's just funny because you said that, they're like, hey, well, so like, will your programming be built so like it's just like a supplement? Like, I have my own stuff, but I just want to supplement with your programming. I responded back, I'm like, yeah. All my training is supplementation to go to the games. Like, that's all it is, okay? Like, it's just a big joke, okay? So anyways. But yeah, we're super stoked about it. Actually, the lady who's doing my website, or company that's doing my website, is actually the PM who's managing my website is actually is a member of CrossFit 417's games team he's been to games many years in a row. So for me, it was perfect because I was like, I don't have to explain CrossFit. You know what it is.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
That's awesome. I feel like we need before we end this podcast, if we didn't talk about this, I think we'd catch a lot of flack, and that is your dog, Winston. So Winston he's a corgi, right? And there he is.
Yeah, he's a Welsh corgi. Say hello.
We got the thumbnail now.
Yeah.
Now we'll get the views.
I know how YouTube works. You're welcome. So he's a corgi. We got him a year ago. He's a little over a year old, and people like him more than me.
He's definitely the star of the YouTube channel.
Yeah, if he's not in every video, like I think I did one video where he wasn't in it whatsoever, and I literally had like dislikes. Like people were like, "I'm disliking this video. I still like you, Jacob, but I want to let you know if he's not in my next video, I will unsubscribe." And I was like,
"This is unacceptable. I'm writing a letter."
I was like, you know what? I can't argue that, so I'll bring him back. So. Now he's gonna be in every thumbnail now.
It's that he's not even in the video. You just like use an old picture of him and just like Photoshop him into the thumbnail.
Yeah. It's called clickbait, John. I know you my dog.
Dog bait.
Yeah. Dog bait. That's what it is. Corgi bait. That's what they're calling it now.
Corgi bait.
We'll leave him there.
Awesome.
I'll just go back over here.
Well, Jacob, thank you so much for taking the time, talking with us, chatting with us. It's been a blast.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I was because we obviously like with the podcast. One of the things like we were like one of our goals that would have been really cool to us was to speak to games athletes, because obviously for us we're regular CrossFitters. We enjoy watching people like you that excel at what we enjoy doing. And so for us, the fact that you agreed to come on, and I mean, I had a lot of fun. Like it was a good conversation. It was just really cool. And we really, really do appreciate you having you on and taking an hour out of your day to talk to us.
So the next question that your followers are going to ask is, well, that was really cool. And that was a really cool podcast, whatever. But like, when are you going to go to Kansas?
I know.
Hey. Don't tempt us.
Well, like I said, I messaged you. I said we'll do a Skype one first, and then I was like, the next one we have to do in person, and that means us coming there. Yeah. So
if your podcast goes, or your vodcast, or what the crap you call it, your Skype, your YouTube video goes so well, then you got to actually come to Kansas in like January or February and come hang out.
Yeah,
that's a little cold. Yeah. Easy there.
We're from San Diego, okay? How about July? We don't like being uncomfortable. That's why we're not very good athletes.
On a totally unrelated note, we're starting a GoFundMe to go to Kansas, randomly enough.
Yeah, but you got to think about all the good content you'll receive and just like be like, yo, like YouTube will pay for it. Like
exactly,
it's true.
Yeah,
that's definitely a goal for the podcast, is to eventually just be able to literally buy plane tickets to go places and actually interview people in person, because it's better that way. But it's still cool being able to Skype. So. We appreciate it.
That's funny, because that's my wife's goal too. Is if like I said,
yeah.
We're both racing to see who can get a first class ticket.
Yeah. I get the ticket and I just tag you on Instagram like I won.
I win.
Granted, it was first class just to LA, so it's about a 20-minute flight.
Yeah. I'll just do I win #18.4.
But you didn't.
I did.
You still lost. All right, cool, man.
Well, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, and then obviously, if people want to find you and stuff on Instagram, it's
easy. I'm the easiest guy to find on just Jacob Heppner or Google Winston.
There we go.
There you go.
Awesome.
It's easy to do. Yeah.
All right, bro.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Peace, see you guys.
Peace out,
dude.
That was seriously so much fun. It was such a great podcast. And Jacob, just again, want to say thank you for spending an hour just chatting with us, pretty much just asking you a whole bunch of questions that the world loves to ask you, that sure you've heard multiple times.
Yeah.
But also being able to get, deeper into stuff that you're doing right now and YouTube and that whole aspect of it.
Yeah, it was cool because I feel like we interviewed him how any fan would, really.
Yeah.
You know, so we were able to be like a medium, I guess, for what I'm assuming other people know, or what other people want to know.
Yeah.
Because I was just like asking stuff I wanted to know.
Yeah. So, again, if you guys liked it, please leave a 5-star rating. Or leave whatever rating you think it deserves, but 5
stars.
stars would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you guys are watching this on YouTube, leave a comment. Be sure to share it.
Yeah. Let us know what you think.
And we will see you guys next week